last week you introduced a new term in the video.
What is that?
A new term in the video, co-emergence, in our interview.
Not a new term.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like cooperation, not a new term, right? Co-emergence, not a new term. Cooperation, correspondence, yeah. Co-working, not a new term, yeah. Operating from tandem function, yeah, not a new term, yeah.
Okay. You were using it to describe.
Universe, not a new term. Everything's co-emerging in the universe. So you got light and sound and everything else, merged, submerged, and it's just nature. I think the comment also implies people coming together, like when you have your date right at the place, right? So you sit at the table together. You co-sit. Right. You co-meet, right? And like co-sleep, right? You go to bed together, you sleep. You co-rise, right? You wake up, and so on. So, but we're not talking about two. We're talking co-emergence implies absolute everything. Okay, where it is and relative to what it's doing. For itself, let's say if it's a stream or a beam of light, or for everything else as part of the all. So, But the important point was to bring the light to, if we're speaking about reality, a spiritual reality, the idea of co-emergence is like saying, no, it's not somewhere else. It's not where you have to look for it. No, it's here. It's where you are all the time. There's no search for it that's valid. No, you're not looking for your ear, are you? No, unless you lose it, you know for sure you lost it. Same with the reality. It's not somewhere else. People just don't know it as such. They don't know how close it is. How intimately related we are with reality or divinity, spirituality. And what is? It's the all that is. Comment.
The book Gentle Fire, you've described it as describing the progression of awakenment.
It may refer to that, but that's part of the expounding of what would have to be called a theory concerning it. So, reality doesn't need an introduction. It doesn't need a theory. But we want to give people the sense that the condition they're suffering is not the source of what it is. It's not the reality. It's a transitional state. You see? Mm-hmm. 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 So we can enter suffering and we can leave suffering. And when you consider going to bed every night, I mean, you're awake with all your stuff, your noise, and your karma. You go to bed and it's gone. You leave it. And sometimes you wake up refreshed, sometimes not. See? So the unconscious may have something more important for you to think about than just being relieved from stress. So we merge, maybe co-emerge with the unconscious, going to bed, see, asleep. Many don't know what they're going to find or enter or escape when they leave this body, leave this consciousness, leave this dimension of consciousness. But we do it in a snap. We just go to bed, boop, or pass out, and we go deep, and no problem. We don't talk about it in the morning. Like it's a big deal. So natural, it's like forgettable. Right? Forgettable. You go back to source, and many call God, and it's forgettable. It's no big deal. So then the search for God is no big deal, because we go back to it, or we emerge from it in this consciousness and re-enter it every night when we give this consciousness up for good, for real, and into the unconsciousness, see? The no consciousness. We are the no consciousness, but we don't act like it. We don't even know it. And yet that's what even science comes up with, right? The unconscious, right? Super sleep consciousness, nirvana.
Does the state of being awake prevent us from experiencing unconsciousness?
What do you mean by awake?
Like not...
You mean like not sleeping?
Not in deep sleep.
Not in deep sleep. Yes, obviously. So you have most of humanity is awake. Billions of people awake, but not really awake. Still dreaming, still sleeping. God, that's an argument. It's a scientific argument. Who's awake, who's not awake? Relative wakeness, relative sleep. The point is that, can you be in the deep state while you're awake? That's really the point. Can you tolerate it? See? Do you actually have to go to sleep to experience the deep state for what it is, as no consciousness? That's the question. See? There may be an answer to it, but who cares about the answer? It's not so much a question-answer issue. It's really a knowing. Yeah. And this is part of, let's say, the purpose of the psychosciences. Try and figure these things out. Sometimes meditation has something to do with it. Yeah. Oh, that's another question. Who's meditating, who's not meditating? When are you officially, formally into meditation? Are there other things you can be doing that are just as deep in terms of meditation energy or brainwave function? Of course.
So it seems like with meditation there's forms of training to develop.
We're already trained. Right? The cab driver's already trained to, to relax and know where he's going without trying to figure it out. Okay? If he's familiar with the city, then you just tell him, hey, I want to go to 47th and 8th Avenue, Manhattan. Boom! You're there on 2 wheels, 1 wheel, 3 wheels. You get there, tumbling, rolling. Yeah, he'll get you there. Okay. And so he may enter a meditative state. We don't know about that because we don't see it. See, because he's sitting down and he's quiet. He's just, well, who knows? So, question you didn't ask, but you would like to ask, would be, what does the phenomena, right, of entering and exiting states of consciousness have to do with realization? Duh, of course. Yeah. Everything and nothing. The realization does not exclude anything. It's not other than.
Is that it?
Is that enough? It's too much. Yeah, it's too much.
So there is.
So this is not about satisfying curiosity. So that's off the books. That's off the map.
So there is not value in practicing having some facility relative to states of consciousness and meditation and doing what you're doing.
It depends on what you call practice and what the demand is. Who's demanding what? See? Who's demanding what? See? Telling you, oh, do this, and this, and that, the list. Is that a demand, or is that just something you can do? See? What does that you do have to do with the reality or realization? See? Now, there are those who feel that unless you open and relax and de-stress consciously, deliberately, effectively, you're not going to know a deeper state of consciousness, and that could be scientifically more or less proven and, established. Are you going deeper into consciousness through relaxation, by going into sleep? Going into the zone, the Z zone. Zzz, that's it. Gone zone. But again, what does gone and the zone have to do with realization? Which is no condition. Which is no state. Boom. Can't put it in your pocket.
Yeah, because as science would have it, in terms of brain wave patterns, they're all going all the time. It's just which is dominant is how they determine where you are.
Right, and they don't have a clue as to where genius comes from or how it functions. Is it gene? Is it not gene? Is it family? Is it not family? Is it training? Is it not training? Is it studying? Is it not studying? What? Yeah. Same with the spiritual, right? The inaccessible, which is what we're talking about now in terms of what our nature is. It's inaccessible, and that's why we're... It's so here, it's not here. It's so here, it's beyond here. And unless you're willing to be beyond here, you're not going to find what is here. See? Unless you're willing to go beyond love, you'll never know what love is. Unless you're willing to go beyond sex, you'll never know what sex is. Right? For sexers. Right? Habitual or occasional sexers. You'll never know what it is. You know what the body's version is of it, but you never know what it is. You know, the emotional aspect is, which is a peak, emotional, being fried, right? You know, sexuality and so on. But you won't know what it is. So to know what something is, you have to go beyond what it appears to be. Same with yoga, same with music. How are you going to know what music is unless you go beyond it? How are you going to know who you are unless you go beyond that?
It seems like a lot of practitioners are very concerned with evidence of progress and looking for the effect or a sensation or a thought or a state of mind of consciousness, and that this can be a source of confusion for people looking in two directions, looking for source, you know, good practice maybe, being source, and looking for its effect.
You're talking about intellectual sort of pollution. You're talking about deadening by way of intellectual scraping. You're not going to learn anything that way. Not going to get anywhere that way. Yeah, so in other words, you practice and you let it be. There's nothing to look for if you know you're practicing. So, obviously, we're talking about idiots that don't understand the nature of the mind. Right? And thinking as the problem. See? Mechanical thought as the problem, the very obstruction. See? You can't go to sleep if you're that busy. See, there's no sleep, there's no rest if you're wound up, see, stuck, see, dead to the current, see, dead to the flow of life, dead to love, see, dead to life, see. You have all these scientific geniuses, right? So-called, we don't say anybody is anything. And they're trying to figure this out. What the source is, when, why. Right. So they can win the hot tamale. As a knower of something. See, it's already been known. It's beyond known. See, it's already been given, and it's beyond giving. See. And in that case, people say, those who know do not tell. This is beyond telling. See. They do not show because it's beyond showing. So as long as you and other intellectuals betray the code of silence, you're done. You're done. You're toasted. You never get in. The door slams shut on you. For those who know, come in. For those who want to think about it, stay out. No way. Good enough? kill something, think about it. Sorry to be so brutal. Right. Because thinking is not knowing. It's not this. See, I don't play from that. See, meditative playing is here. And it's profoundly deep and incomprehensible in its results if it's coming from what I know, so to speak. Or what's given to me. I say, I know what's given to me. See? Which may be a lot of noise for most people, not for me. See? You need super strength to play what I play. Because it's not just from here. It's not this. You have to go deeper. It's not this. It starts getting back to here. Yeah. Come on. In other words, you need to know what the message of the music is, not the physical phenomena, not just the title, see, the message. See, because in my case, music is speech. Who knows what I'm saying? You know, besides my son, Rebbe. He has a sense of what it is. But in Gentle Fire, what were you saying?
In Gentle Fire, there's a particularly resonant quote. The burning itself remains pure and perfect.
Obviously. When you're in the unconscious, you're purely so unconscious, perfectly so. Right.
How does that relate to the way you speak about your music, the reason you call it heart fire sound?
Because it manifests as a burn. See? As a burn, see? Fire. Not physical fire, so you can't see it, you can hear it. See? See? It is like a creative burning. And we're not talking about what you think. It's not about a thought process. It's the no thought process. If you need a word, it's the no thought process. See, it's the no song process. It's the no music process. Right? The fire of no music is what it is. See? It's not music. As soon as you think music and you apply it to this, you've fallen off the cliff. You better get ready for the water or the rocks. That's not what it is. It's code. The language I use is code. As it should be. as it was said many, many thousand years ago, those with the ears to hear, let them hear. I can go as far as saying, those with the ears to hear, let them see. And know, so that they can be and live. Well. Sweet.
Another quote, rest in the burn. Learn to burn all arising phenomena with ease beyond burning.
So that's obvious. So, this is about the gentle fire. Contact with enables the individual to release themselves from everything. So, to release yourself from everything doesn't mean you are disconnected from everything. It means you have released yourself from everything. So, that could be a reconnecting with the all, so, the source of everything. So, that could mean what is real and what is true in you. Release from everything that distracts you from what it is. So, like all the wonderful things that excite you, stimulate you, and so pull you away from what it really is. See? And thinking it's other than what it is.
The quote goes on, let the burn penetrate so deeply and completely as to allow the fire itself to burst forth as gentle compassion.
It's what it already always is. See? Yeah. It's kind of like play by play, step by step, coming to the heart state, which is always the case, already the case, but not lived consciously in the case of other peoples who have no interest in it, in knowing about it or practicing it or attaining it, let's say, if you could do that. See? They want to hear about the heart. See? They want to know about money. That's the heart. The bank is the heart. The account is the heart for most people. Or the girlfriend's pleasure, or the boyfriend's pleasure. That's the heart of the whole thing. See the moment of pleasure, the momentary pleasure, not reality. Emotional highs and lows, that's the heart for most people. See? Thrills, like the amusement park. Life is an amusement park. See? We're talking about deeper, we're talking about grounding in what it is, always. What it always is. Not what it occasionally is, as a little sizzle, a little kazizzle, and a little frizzle, right? Yeah, no, that's good for the kids, see, but not for the real. It doesn't access the peace that the heart is. The profound peace of the heart. Heartfulness. Which obviously, if you enter that reality that is, right, when you enter the is of it, what is going to come of it? There are many words, and they're all the same. You can say goodness. You can add all your other words too. You all come from that, the good.
think we're all pretty familiar with fire as a physical phenomenon. Can you talk about why the word burn or fire, gentle fire, is used?
We're really talking about spiritual fire. Without spiritual fire, you wouldn't have the sun. The sun is sustained by spiritual fire, otherwise it would have been done a long time ago. It's a physical manifestation of a higher force that is identical to it and superior to it. It has a father, it has a mother. All sons are born of this super fire, spiritual fire. The difference is basically relative to time, billions of years. Spiritual fire doesn't have any time. It never fades out. Doesn't fade in and phase out, see, or fade out. It's the same. So yeah, it is. It is what it is. From it is born all intensities, all densities, and all elements. See? So, all of creation, all realities are born of what it is, simultaneously. And it sustains all of them. Right? It gives them their time. It gives them their space, their energy, their matter, their reality, their whole being. See? So the burn is not a temporal event. It's an ongoing process. It's not a product. Exactly. But having the burn of spiritual levels of reality means it's just ever burning. It's not about things coming and going and burnables. The whole universe is burned already. As it was created from the fire, it's already destroyed in the fire. The rest is time, right? Time, duration, and sequence. Here.
The burn engages the self in selflessness, engages the thought in thoughtlessness, and engages the mind in mindlessness beyond the suffering of any and all forms, associations, relations, and distinctions.
It is thinglessness. Yeah, it's paradox. In other words, it's really the formless element. Going back to deep sleep, it's formless. It's like, who knows? See, it's the wonder and the awe of it. See, how wondrous is this? Wow, how wondrous is this? Wow! See? How wondrous it is. See?
So from chapter 10, The Flame of Concrete Reality. In the realm of cause, only cause is real and seemingly self-existing. Self-existing as cause is an effect that is self-existing as effect, being in fact a cause that is neither a cause nor an effect. This acknowledgement of karma as law, as force, as nature, as experience, as thought, as mind, or as self is traced to identity identification. And my impression of that, or my response to it, is that it seems like that is kind of easily untying what seemed like a very complicated knot.
That's what speech is for. That's what creative and conscious speech is for, used in that manner. See? Which, in effect, enables people to see what they're creating, or how they've been created by not knowing what they're creating. So?
Yeah. Speech seems to cut both ways.
Both ways? Always. Yeah. Always. It cuts all ways. Right. And the speech is like a diamond. Doji. Nakpo Doji.
What is progress?
I have no idea. Who knows? What does it mean? For who? In what sense? Right? What is it? It's a good question.
Is it the lengthening of time that one spends in a state of awareness?
I mean, we're supposed to be in the age of progress. This is a civilization of progress, right? So-called. Yeah, it's a good question. What is progress? Look at planet Earth. Check the news out someday. If you have the heart to do that. So you want to look at progress. Right, so what do you mean by progress? We certainly know you don't mean that.
Yeah, unfoldment. Realization relative to that.
Unfoldment then, yeah. Right, the unfoldment, yeah, outwards. Right, like the opening of the flower. Say, what about that? Yeah. It happens. Right. Sun comes out, flowers open. There you have it.
All right. Great.
It's about the light, receiving the light, responding to the light, and doing what the light would have you do. Right. What would the light have you do? Receive more light. Open more. Until you have this fulfillment of light, which some will say is enlightenment, enfillment. And then that's the beginning. It's not the end of anything. That's the beginning. So it goes on and on. So, in other words, then the word infinite comes into play. It's just progress in small steps. See? Or solar systemal progress and galaxial progress and much larger, but relatively, appropriate steps. So in the traditions, this thing called progress, if there is such a thing, I'm not sure the word is valid in this case, but the teacher is supposed to give you an assessment. Like the gardener has to give you a sense of what the stages are, right, relative to the seeding. So it's the gardener's gig, right, the landscaper's gig. And then there's this idea of progress, because we're talking about the possibility of stages and results and sprouting, and then to the fullness of the blossoming, say, and then death and so on. Yeah. Most people don't care about progress in this way. They're not interested. They're interested in material progress. Moolah. A bigger bank, bigger car, bigger house, bigger status, billionaireness. The $1 trillion debt, right? The bigger boogeyman in the sky. Right? We've come from the burn here in the spiritual sense of the burn to the $1 trillion debt in the sky. Yeah. Appearances are not what it is. Say. So we can come to recognize progress in terms of going beyond appearance, letting go of clinging to appearances. Yeah. What you appear to be, what your blood programs are and how they use you, or anybody, at the vital level, at the psychic level, see, at the emotional level, at the sexual level, if you want to say, at the creative level, see, or at the psychological level. See. All of these things are happening. All of these things are having their way with you and everybody else. Habits. Who's free of habits? Who understand habits from the inside out? Who is the stillness behind and at the source of all forms arising? See? Who can be that deep, that direct, that simple, that say, attentive, that focused? Practitioner? Could be. Could be practitioner with focus, absolute focus, okay, on the heart. The heart is the universe. The universe is the heart. Paradox, but actually it's the reality.
You mentioned earlier that sometimes the unconscious will put something in your path. You need to deal with it.
Yeah, we also say it's you. You put things in your own path,
Yeah.
right? Always. And you have to take things out of your path, always. So we can make a technical, say, distinction there relative to the unconscious, but everybody's unconscious. So everybody is their unconscious, but they're not conscious of that. Because they're convinced that the consciousness they have, the little bit of consciousness they have, is the conscious. So how could anybody say they're unconscious if they're conscious? Right? That's mystery. That's part of the deep sleep factor. What's your question?
Yeah. So I mean, we make a fuss about these types of things, like
You do. Everybody does. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. You do. Yeah,
It
it
is
doesn't.
done.
It doesn't. You do.
okay,
Right. It is. You can't make a fuss about it.
huh?
It's not interested in what you like or dislike.
Hmm.
It seems like that. That's why when you go into the unconscious, you don't remember anything when you come out. So how convenient, right? The unconscious is very convenient. Comment.
So it seems like there are things we rightly have to deal with. You know, they're there, self-created, maybe.
It's all of it, self-created to a higher degree. But we also need to make the distinction between what you inherited, that is part of your habit stream, your stream of bad habits, right, that are characteristic of your blood, right? So you got to peel that away if you're going to get anywhere. But if you see consistency there, then you're just being your blood. Nothing wrong with it, but you might want to get beyond that. So, well, we all do this. My family does it. That's your problem then. Or it's your solution. If that's your solution, that means that that's as much as you want out of your family. And so we all suffer the same thing. Good. End of story. Next. Who's next? Right. So spiritual practice is not about the was. It's about what is and what needs to be. Say. Right. Unless you were just born awakened, as some of us might be. And you just know what you got to do. The karma's all there, so the mess is there, but you know how to navigate your way through it. And I'm not going to say it's easy as pie, it just is what it is, because everyone has to deal with the unconscious. Right? The resistance, see, the programming, the barriers, see, the obstructions. It's all there. Yeah. Without it, there'd be no mastery. So you have to be happy you have your obstructions, you have the unconscious to battle with.
No, it seems like that would be a trustworthy, if we're talking about unconsciousness as deep sleep unconsciousness,
or not knowing, ignorance. Yeah, it's unconscious ignorance, we can say, but
yeah,
it's not easy. Yeah, so you can't figure it out too easily. So the psychiatrists haven't figured it out. Or the main head shrinks, the master head shrinks haven't figured it out yet. Maybe they're just still scratching on the skull, right? On the scalp. So what it is. Right. We're talking about the universe. Right, the un-I-verse. So when you practice, if you're practicing, you're opening beyond your neuroses, as you would describe it. Your distractions, all your legitimately appropriate busyness. See? Business is gone. When you go to bed, there's none of that in there. Although, there may be some REM stuff going on there that is characteristic of what you have to do in this world, in this dimension, back in the body. See? It's good. But deeper, there's no such thing. You don't exist deeper. It exists. It is. In everyone's case, it is. When it's done with you, it's done. It's not when you're done with it. Pump, tuck, tick, tuck, tick, tuck, pump, pump, pump. See, it runs the show. In everybody's case. So it's better to be thinking about that than not. It's like saying you're still here. Not everywhere your mind, your garbage mind would have you everywhere, right? Bouncing around off the walls and in let's say huge mountains of informational garbage. Created out of an intention to control you. and consume you, and spend you, waste you, and everybody else. So then it becomes an issue. Who's minding the spiritual store? Whatever the spiritual store has to offer. Whatever that is. So another let's say, assortment of candies and delights and ice cream cones and drinks and shakes and other sort of stimulating and exciting things you have to pay for. Transcended, there's zero. We got to back to here. Back to basic breathing. Boom, boom. Calming down. Back to earth. Back to the earth mother. Back to the beginning. There. There are many beings, maybe materialists, maybe intellectuals, which could be worse than materialists. Right, the killadilla of the inner. Yeah, the skeptic. Maybe less these days, but who have concluded that the spiritual then is escapism. Well, it isn't. I'd say the spiritual is the creative. There's no escape from the creative. There's no escape. The spiritual then means more on than off, more engaged than not. More inclusive, more busy. Maybe not materially, but more busy. Yeah. More alert, say, more focused than not. Because in every moment, you enter the spiritual, then every moment is a big deal. Every heartbeat is like a huge bomb going off. Boom, boom, boom. Boom! Each heartbeat is like a big drum. It's not like not existing. No. So you're awake in your body. So that's the body. And the heart. And the brain. Right? And the planet. And the solar system, and the galaxy, and the universe. There's a lot there.